between cross side 2, north, south, and back the other way. And this is Zach. I'm Mickey, for those of you who didn't, but if he puts me in side control, and he's not really looking to submit, he's just looking to keep me here, I'm at such a disadvantageous position to where, like, if he just flows, if he just goes here, if he just keeps his legs away from my legs, yeah, he'll stop me. He'll get to here. This configuration here, where he ends up with one under and one over, this is just about as bad as it gets for just being over here. So, like, we have to recognize too that if the top player is really good, sometimes they're gonna have to attack you. Like, you're gonna have to give them something up. So now, are you okay? His shoulders hurt a little. So now, like, with Zach, the way that I would play is like, if as soon as he starts to kind of get into a position here, like, okay, I don't want him to have this underhook. Like, I'm gonna shoot an underhook, and now I'm gonna start trying to turn into him, try to make him move. And once I decide, like right here, I'm not gonna be able to make him move anymore. He's gonna have to settle when he wants. So I'm gonna let him settle, now I'm trying to come up. Now I'm trying to create other angles. I've got my leg, and you're just gonna keep trying to fight in order to make your opponent move. Now, so that was kind of long-winded to say, like, how do you do that and not allow, you know, yourself to, get put in such a compromising position? I don't like going to turtle. I think that turtle is how I beat most people. I beat them from topside turtle. And so I don't like doing that. So the way that we structure our escapes from side control or cross side is we always look for the underhook. So we have 3 different types of cross side. This is cross side 1, where they kind of hold your hip with the arm here, his body gets low, he's kind of heavier here, and his hands around my head. I'm always shooting for this underhook. Okay, I bump that underhook in, and then I'm gonna rotate my body towards the side of my underhook. Because right now, I want him off my hips. A lot of people, I'm not gonna be able to get him off my hip here unless I kind of bump. And bumping is not our best way. We found I rotate this way, and as soon as I can get here, no matter where Zach is, if he can go real heavy here and be tight, once I get this in, he's gonna try to stop me from anything into my chest. That's why it's impossible. I just straighten my body out. Now he's up here. So now he's in a position where he's got to move around me, and I'm gonna be able to start looking to come in and join.
Once he gets that deep underhook, I have to.
He has to move.
I have to move, or he's like that.
Yeah, and so, like, versus most people, that's as far as I end up ever needing. It's just getting that good underhook, and something he doesn't see too. This off hit, so I look like they get here, they're controlling my hip, they're controlling my side here. I shoot that underhook. This stays heavy on my hip. Okay, I try to get this close to my arm, or sorry, my elbow as I can. So if I'm down here, he rotates his hips towards my head, he's gonna crush my wrist, right? But now I'm here. So now I can come this way and keeps his hip in place. Okay? So now, if I don't keep his hip in place, I make this cross him up and he can switch his hands, and then his feet are gonna be in the right spot for if he switches his hands. He's gonna be able to switch his hands because I'm moving him. I want his hips down here. Does that make sense? So when somebody gets cross-eyed on you, I want you to shoot this underhook, try to get it deep, as deep as you can get it, kind of an oblique turn here. Force his hip to stay in the same place, and now I just straighten my back, and I'm here. Obviously, the more athletic you are, the more you can start looking to get up and wrestle up and in and out. But once you get here as well, you can start shrimping away, finding your way back into a guard position. Does that make sense? Question?
Is it fair to say when you're in like a full mount position, looking for sweeps going sideline a little bit?
Yes. So yes and no. You're looking for a position reversal in their mount because it's a lot easier to get them to if they're directly on top of you, it's a lot easier to get them there. But yeah, from side control, not usually do you end up back on top. Kind of like with you. A lot of times when people go for heel belly, this is a really good one for smaller people and girls. I use this all the time. They jump to knee on belly and I know they want mount. I lock this, so they're gonna go for this every time, right? Everybody knows this arm lock. Where they pull it up, and they finish. If you guys haven't seen that, it's abundantly common. So I get this, lock arm. I lock it down and make them think I'm really fighting it. A lot of times I'll move my arm up too, leads them over here. As soon as their knee is pointed downward, as soon as my knee goes downward, he can take me over for free. I'll have no way to stop it. It doesn't matter how big they are. Doesn't matter how much stronger. As soon as their knee is pointing downward, if you have that arm locked, they will roll. It works 100% of the time, as long as you have that arm a little bit locked. So that's just because the reversals. I'm ADHD, so questions gotta come and go. But the side control escape, for now, we're getting that underhook, shrimp out, either to where you can get your knees in or wrestle up. For those of you guys that are able to get them above your head like that, that wrestle up is there a lot. Make sense? You guys want to practice that a couple times? Questions on it?
So are you just kind of like doing that once you
Yeah,
have
so basically what I want to do is when they come on it, like they're obviously going to have one arm over and they're going to be looking, most of their attacks start with an underhook. Starts with the far side underhook. So I don't want them having that. So I shoot that under, and I just try to get it as deep as I can. A lot of times the best way to get deep, like I said, is to frame the hip and scoot down this way. Because now, once it's locked in here, as I rotate out and up, they're inevitably going to be right here. I can leave my knee to it as well, and I can either plant and try to come up this way if they're really heavy, but it's going to create enough space where they're loaded that way, you're going to be able to get your knee in. Because that's the ultimate goal of being in cross-eye or having them pass your guard, is to get your legs back in the fight. That's what changes everything with them. Make sense?
I hate to be that guy. Can I see it one more time?
Absolutely. See if they can come on. So from this side, so he's across side here. Here, what I don't want is him getting this underhook. Obviously, this is going to lead to a bunch of bad things. So I sneak it through, okay? Again, you can try to bump it and slip through, or you can come all the way down and over. And here, this is the part where I'm saying, see, I can reinforce my arm now. Now, as Zach tries to push back into it, he's not going anywhere. Whereas before, if he's a lot stronger than me, see how now he can kind of manipulate it. So if you need that, if you aren't able to get real deep, frame your knee here. Might frame the hip. Now when I want to go, I can post and turn. I'm just coming this way. So now, like I said, I showed you guys a kind of athletic way to get up, but I can also just frame here, frame the knee inside, shrimp out, bring my knee in. And I'm just trying to get my knees in between me and him. He's obviously going to keep running that way, but you have a huge advantage on your feet and shrimping. Does that make sense? Yeah, I use this all the time.
Pretty much a ghost, right? Pretty much
Sorry?
ghost escape.
Yeah, you just, if you can get that underhook, and especially if you can get that underhook before they're ready to switch sides, you're going to be able to get out there. And it's safe. The biggest thing is, like, all these other escapes that are actually viable as well, they also lead you to getting your arm taken away, stuff like that. If you get this underhook, that arm is no longer vulnerable for a good period of time. Make sense? I practice that a few times? All right. Abundantly common with the way most people hold side control is that, so when I ask him to hold me, say this underhook and everything, I get this back, and so like right here, he's diagonal to my body, so one of my hips is free, and his body is very stagnant. This is going to be a really poor way to hold anybody, because I can always fight to get my knee in here, and so if I get underhook like that, so if we're here like this, and I get an underhook, and they choose to stay diagonal, most of the time, I'm just going to get out for free. I'm not going to do this, so go ahead and go high. He's going to try to hold you for real. You see how easy it is for me to do this? It's kind of easy going. He doesn't have a good way of keeping either my shoulders or my hips still. So when you're playing side control, you either need to keep both of my shoulders flat, or be very mobile, or keep both of my hips flat and not be mobile at all. Or you can do a combination of both with a submission. So like, for example, if he had a choke button up at the top down here, like if he's up here like this, just on the side, and now I'm going to diagonal down to that because he's got me kind of bent around here. But even here, this isn't the best place for him to be diagonal, because I can move my hips so good that unless he's abundantly better than me at wrestling, or I'm just very inadequate here, this is going to be really easy for me to escape. So you can pull here. Go ahead. You can keep as tight as you want. Okay. So now he's squared back up. So this is good. Go. So I just try to make a way where I can get him either off of my chest and off of my hips, or on one or the other, and then go the other way. Okay. So that obviously didn't teach very much in that moment, but the point of it is when you're holding somebody, you either need to find out, like, okay, are their shoulders pinned, and if so, it's okay for me to be up high. If their shoulders aren't pinned, I need to find a way to get their shoulders pinned and or get a hold of their head. But above everything else, like, keep your feet away legs because that's how I'm going to get back in. So with all that being said, I just wanted to show you guys that when you get this underhook, a lot of the time when you get this, they are perfectly fine being like this, especially if they're big and strong. Big and strong people will hold like this all day if you let them. All you have to do is look towards their body and start making their head this way. There's nothing he can do about this. He has to completely disorient his hands. And by the time he goes that, he's got to take his right eye. He's doing that. You see, I just go right away. It doesn't matter what he does. I just get to be facing him. He wasn't guarding my hip, so you guys saw what's the first thing I pulled my hip away from him. Now I've got room for this to bring in, and now I know he's got to move his arm. So what happened when he moved his arm? Well, I moved this away. Now he's down here. Well, now we're back to guard. Does that make sense? Yes.
How should he be controlling you inside control?
So there's a bunch of different schools of thought to that. So I'll use Zach. So my favorite way to hold somebody in side control is what we call cross side two, kind of, and I kind of just box it in here, like this. You know, I want one of my knees by his head, one of my knees by his hip. I've got my elbow on the other side. I've got a hand by his hip here. There's a lot of stuff here, essentially, where I'm just a box. You know, I'm gonna have heavy pressure here if I need to. If he goes to move this shoulder up, if he goes to try to turn into me, I can get right above it and drop it. He goes for this, I can start coming in and looking for some stuff that I like to do with guillotines, things like that. The way that I hold is very much submission based. I'm looking to either submit you quickly or get to mount or your back. So now there's another way. I think that this is probably the most superior thing that you can have if you're in side control, if you're able to get this. It is almost impossible to get all of this on a good opponent. You're just not going to, you know, or you're that much better or bigger than them. So this is gonna be your best. I got an underhook here, I've got an arm lock finish here, I've got this here, I can look for the head, I can look for that, I can put a lot of pressure down on his ribs. You know, I can do a whole bunch of other things, but the most realistic way is gonna be either one over, like this here, where I've got my hip on his hip, try to keep him away here. And as soon as he wants me to bump high, like he's gonna do, that's when I'm trying to switch and come into this kind of box frame where he's already won here. Kind of just like we talked about, he's facing me, he's done everything right. I'm gonna push his arm down, because his shoulder's on the light, and I'm gonna get behind him here and start trying to force him back into, you know, one of our games here, where now I've got the underhook. You know, anytime I get this underhook, I never give this up. I'm gonna keep this underhook, because the entire time I have this, they have to be worried about me attacking. Like, that's the best way that I found to hold people. He starts pushing real hard here, doing something like this, like, I'm just gonna start attacking this. But yeah, keep pushing me that way, that's fine, I'm gonna break your arm with him. You know, stuff like that where bigger guys, so I'm on TRT now, I'm like 20 pounds heavier, really 30 or so pounds heavier than when I started. But I was 160 pounds, you know, and I was able to hold down bigger people just by locking up submissions and recognizing, like, you don't look at jiu-jitsu so much as like moves or whatever. It's like, it's a game. Once you're past their guard, never let their legs touch you again. You just stay away from their legs. Just stay away from their legs. They start moving, put your head in their hip and move your legs towards their head. They will never escape that way. I very recently come across this bit of knowledge where if I'm in side control here and my head goes between his hip line, he cannot escape. He cannot escape. Without rolling me over him, there's no way for him to get out. So if my head is in here, go ahead and move over. So you see how he almost escaped one time? Where was my head? Way outside. He forced my head to the outside. So it's my goal to get it back. And what did he have to do to get my head off? He extended his arm. So I took that underhook and I took his head. And he might have got out in real life if he was going hard. You know, who knows? But he's putting me back in guard where I've got an underhook and I've got his head. And so that's why it's like, little things like that underhook, the best thing they can do is get it back. Most people don't even try. Most people just move towards the top. Like, best thing for Zach to do here, when I get this underhook, is to, yeah, he can do this, or he can just get the hook back. But if I go right here, if he goes back, now my whole game is gone. Most people don't do that. Most people, I get the underhook, this is probably the other best option, so we switch it to guard my hip. But if I can keep him low, I can start to move him down. Come up and now, we're in a much better position as I start to bring my knee in. Just from him having to move his arm. When we're talking about have him move, force him to move. Stuff like that. Now, like I said, side control is like, that's a hard one. I mean, some people are just good. And then start to recognize, like, I don't know why you guys do this. Most people do this for self-defense. Like, you're sitting there and you're, and you know, one of you two is getting crushed by him. It's like, well, yeah, but you're not going to be there in there. Hopefully, definitely not in jail, you know. And if you are, they're going to be moving, you know. So if the person on top is just holding you there, it's like, well, get comfortable and you know, being uncomfortable. And then when they move, that's when you start looking for your ways to get out. It's much easier to move somebody his size while they're moving than, you know, if he wants to hold us there, because you're going to hold a lot of us there. Does that make sense? There's no real good secret, got it?
You did something with JoJo while ago. You went for the underhook escape versus escape.
Yes.
Actually, you did. You did these circles, right?
Yes.
That's what we did.
Yes.
He goes for circle back around.
Yes.
You did something with stiff arm and major spins.
Yeah, so if you can ever get underneath the armpit, the cross armpit essentially, so I start to do this and he goes to circle. This is circle down, so like right here, and he keeps going, so like right here, okay? So I've got his armpit, right? Especially if he kept going, which is what happened on a roll. So now, whether he he brings his legs around or not, like right here, he's got to. Because he can tell you he's not standing here. He needs to bring his knees towards my hips and get this arm out of it. Yeah, that's what he needs to do, right? But so what happens most of the time is as he brings his knees down, I build to my elbow, and yeah, now look where I'm at. Because of the way he oriented himself, he could not keep a hold of me because I'm able to get inside his armpit. So if you can get inside the armpit at any point, stiff arm immediately, and you're out. You're at the very least getting guard. Zach does that better than everybody. And you can do it while they're passing too, so Zach can. So a lot of times people pass like this, stack passing, right? So if he's stack passing me, look what's available. You guys ever been passed this way? Where they come up and they just, yeah. So if he goes stacks past my guard, I'll shoot. You guys been passed like this? The guys crush you? Okay? One of the best ways to stop that is I get this hand in the armpit, I just keep it posted. He's got to spin back around this arm. He has to. There's no way. Yeah, if he goes that way, great. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to be out of guard. But as he goes and lifts this arm up, I'm back in guard. Just like that. I do it all the time. Especially if it's like most people, when they're stacking, they want to pass just as bad as I want to let them when they're stacking me. So when I start doing this, they a lot of times take their head out for me. And I got the armpit. Oh, there's no strength in that. Just C-post in the armpit. You get the same side armpit, you just shrimp away. That is probably the most useful thing against good players that works at every level. Because if I'm about to pass this guard, you know I really want to pass. Like I just worked for that. So if it looks like they're giving up, you know, you kind of take that lazy way out. That's why I always tell people when you're passing, it's like pass when you're supposed to pass. Don't pass when they let you know, crush them through. You guys want to practice that one? That was a really good one. You don't work that one? Okay, so did that same, if you guys have issues with this, we'll walk around.
We're practicing just
C-post, yeah. And you can, again, that can come from a transition too. So he circles, let's say that he's coming around, I start to feel right here, keep going all the way around. So he goes all the way around, like I might end up with it here. I've just got a C-plant grip here, and he'll tell you there is nothing that he can do. When you're the top guy in this habit, you're just like, oh, fuck. So everything starts. He starts bringing his weight down, and that's one of the best things you can do. Like, get up and go. Yes?
Or no, I'm just
Yeah. Questions on that? Yeah, that's a really good thing to notice because I probably use that more than I use the regular escape. Just because it's so readily available to you. And you can re-enter into the legs really easy from there too. Alright, go practice that a couple times. Here's the roll. 1, 2, 3.
So what I'll do is I'll grab his head and I'll grab his arm and get my elbow. All I'm doing is holding him. All right? He can't do anything to me. I got his head and I got his arm and my elbows are pinched. Okay? So for him to move, he's got to get this arm back. And I'll hold it. I'll hold it in my head and I'll have him get frustrated when he pulls this arm out. All right? And when he does, when he tries to pull it out, I'll bait him. You just like, see, I still have your arm.
All right, partner up and roll if you guys want.
Was that head where you're holding him down to you like that?
Holding this.
Okay.
Elbows like this.